Well, I'll ask you the inside linebacker question. Just talking to Mike with Deverin, how's his progression after we saw what he could do last year? What have you seen from him in camp?
Yeah, the big thing with Dave, like first of all, is body comp, right? Like trying to add muscle, add a little bit of weight, just so that you can withstand the rigors of an SEC season. Like I think he has, and we talked about it. I can't remember if it was early this camp or in spring, that an understanding of our defense far superior to where he was at this point last year, and so now he. Not only can he execute at a high level, but he understands when he makes a mistake. He can self-correct. We talk about that, quite a bit in terms of, hey, a guy has started to get there when he can auto-correct, when he comes to you and says, "Oh, coach, I missed this," before you can even give him the correction. And so he's getting into that level right now, and so that's been really good to see. Has been flying around, making plays. And so we need him to continue to do that. I feel good sort of about that room. We've talked about, the depth and the level of experience we have in that room. We're going to lean heavy on it, and he's one of those guys we're going to lean on.
Speaking of one of those guys, Pop told us at Media Day, or maybe it was last week, that football's just football, but he was still picking up kind of all the terminology and things like that. How have you seen his progression?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, right? Football's football. When the pads come on, at the end of the day at that position, you've got to know what to do. You've got to know where the run fits are. But, hey, listen, we don't need robots. We need playmakers. We need guys that can find the football, hunt it up, and then pin it to the ground, and he's a guy that's done that in the past. He's shown it through, spring and then fall camp. And we're going to need him to do it in the fall. Every day he gets a little bit better and more nuanced, at our terminology, the way we operate, the techniques that we run, because every defense that you go into is slightly different. But you can see that the confidence level really rising in the understanding level. And it's like anything, like when you finally make that connection point and you bridge the gap to say, okay, this is what it used to be. How do I execute it without always having to think? You think about a foreign language, right? The moment that you can actually think in the language that you're trying to speak as opposed to always translate it, man, you're off and running.
How do you think about those scrimmages as moving days? Was there anybody who jumped out who said, I'm going to need more of this, who earned a bigger role inside of the
Knowing that I just identify, yeah.
I know you're never satisfied, but how do you feel about where you are at this stage of camp right now?
I would say that I'm glad that we still have a couple of weeks left. But I think the energy, the intensity is there. The way they go about their business is there. We're still in that, we got to just clean up some of the small things, and clean up some of the technical things. But I think we're right about where you should be at this point in camp. I think if every year, somebody's asked me that question, it's probably been about the same. Like, as a coach, you never quite feel ready. I mean, it'll be that, whatever it is, Wednesday, I guess, is when we talk on defense before Southern Miss, and I'm going to be saying I can't wait for us to have these last 3 practices. You feel like you need everyone. I think our guys are ready. Like if we had to play this weekend, are we as polished as we need to be? No, but with the energy level, with the way they fly around, I'm pleased with where they are at that point.
We just heard about the bonding that's come in the D-line room and in that group, helping each other. How apparent is that in the practices now?
Oh, you can see it. You can see the communication. So much is about communication and energy. And so when guys are talking, when they're flying around, when they're, good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to go to their team. They're celebrating the good things they do. They're there coaching them on the things that they've done wrong. You feel the communication coming off the sideline. So the guys on the side are getting mental reps because they're engaged. Watching the guys, especially the older guys, they're watching the younger guys, trying to be, an extra set of eyes, for those guys. Because as a coach, you're watching the next group, and you can't always make the corrections. And so to have a veteran group that young guys walk off to, and hey JJ, what about this? Hey Max or Zion, what about this? it's great for those young guys, and it helps speed their development, and we're going to need those guys. There's some young guys out there, that I'm not going to, mention, but that I'm really looking forward to see playing this fall.
In that group, I haven't heard you talk about Ox and about Ox this camp. What's his progression like and going into the big senior year?
You know what? You've seen the added weight show up. You've seen the strength that it brings, the power, the girth that it brings. He's put on weight, so he's back to sort of where he needs to be for him to function at a high level, and where he was functioning, way back before that injury in the LSU game in 21. And so, there's a couple of plays in practice that he made today, specifically in some situational things that you're like, okay, that's the Ox we need right there. Like that can help change a game, that can close out a game, and we need him to play like that.
Where do you see this unit potentially taking another step, based on what you've seen so far?
Where do we see it taking a step? Yeah.
Area.
Hopefully, we need to take that step back to where we were in 22 on third down. We weren't nearly good enough in third down last year, so we need to take that step from an understanding. And I'd really like to see us just stay nice and consistent throughout the season. I thought last year we were a little up and down at times. We could play really good, but then there were times that we didn't play well, and it might have rocked us a little bit. I just want to see, especially with a veteran group, keep our heads. There's going to be highs and lows throughout a game, throughout a season, but just staying level-headed and being able to attack the next drive with a confidence and an urgency and a swagger that, okay, listen, so you got yours on that last drive. We're about to get ours again. And we need to have that. You got to play with a little bit of a screw loose when you're on defense, and you got to have a short memory. We talk about our guys all the time. They got to be goldfish. They got to have 6-second memories, right? And play the next play.
But have you seen that progress from Tyrese Spearbury that you talked about in the spring? Has that carried over in the camp?
It has. The thing with Tyrese is I just want to continue to see the consistency, because it's one of those things you see flashes of, unbelievable play, and then, being able to just control it all and understand, hey, listen, every play, isn't going to be a highlight reel play. Most plays that you play as a player are not going to be on your highlight reel. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be reliable. You've got to, you got to be able to strike and set edges when it's time to strike and set edges. Then there's times to get loose, and so all those things he's continuing to build on from a consistency standpoint. But we know the player and the impact that he can have, when he stays focused and just, in a good framework.
Waller obviously hadn't had too much practice during fall camp, but what have you seen from him so far when he has had a chance to play?
Yeah, you feel that length, right? Like big, long guy that can get his hands on balls, even if the body position isn't perfect. The length that he has, with his arms, can get the balls off receivers, or get his hand in and have some ball disruption at that point. Again, another one where it's just, hey, listen, it's about just consistency of plays, and some of that, for a newer guy is just understanding what to do. And he's still learning, no different than, at least Pop had all spring, right? You come in as a transfer, and man, it's all new terminology. You're just trying to pick up fast. So, but once we get through that, you can see the athletic, skill set.
Brett Nichols is a guy that keeps popping up when we talk to the offensive players. Is somebody that's kind of flashed at times. And what have you seen in his growth?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to hold on that a little bit, because has he flashed and has he done some really good things? Absolutely. Things change on Saturdays when the lights are on. And so, again, we're extremely excited about, the potential that he has. I will say this, I don't think there's anybody that works harder, on the field, off the field, especially off the field. He's a guy that is in the building 24/7. He just eats it up. He can't get enough. You can't get enough film time. He can't get enough meeting time. He can't and it doesn't matter if it's defense, if it's special teams, all of it. So that I will say, but on the rest, we're just gonna have to wait. I'm gonna hold on that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.